When I was a student of class 10, just like you are right now, I used to face a lot of problems in solving questions which were based on the sum of n terms of an arithmetic progression. And what really helped me was my very good teacher, and God bless him, I'm still in touch with him through Facebook, and I have the highest regard for him. He asked me only two simple things. He said, Vikas, do you understand English? I said, yes, sir, I do. And then he asked me, can you remember just one formula? I said, yes, sir, I can. And he said, that's all you require. But I said, sir, there are so many different kinds of questions. And he just said, just try to understand the language, apply that one formula that you have remembered, and it will be done. So today I'm going to be your good teacher and I will make sure that you understand how to do the question. So without wasting any further time, let's nail it. Right, welcome back. So we have a lot of questions lined up for today, and the best way to get the best benefit out of this video is to follow these things. First, get yourself a notebook and a pen so that when the question comes on screen, you pause the video and try and do it yourself. Second, once you've solved the question, just go into the comment box and write the answer to that question. Third, play the video and check the answer for yourself. And fourth, so everything has already been solved for you and I've explained how to do the questions. But in case you are facing a problem at any point, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section or just shoot me an email, and the email address is also provided in the description box below. Right, so let's go to question number one. Right, so question number one says find the sum of the AP 1 by 15, 1 by 12, 1 by 10, and it keeps going on, and we have to find the sum up to 11 terms. So from here it is very clear that A, which is our first term, is 1 by 15, and to find out D, the common difference, we know that we can easily find that out by taking the second term and from it subtract the first term, or take the third term, subtract the second term out of it, or take any term and subtract the preceding term from it, and you get the common difference. So in this case, it's going to be 1 by 12, which is the second term, minus the first term, 1 by 15. So to simplify it, we can just take the LCM of 12 and 15, which happens to be 60. So 12 times 5 is 60. So 1 times 5 will be 5. And since 15 times 4 is 60, so 1 times 4 will be 4. So we get 5 minus 4 on 60, which is 1 by 60. So the common difference of this AP is 1 by 60. Next, let's write the formula for the sum of n terms of an AP right here. So the sum of n terms, which can be denoted by Sn, can be written as n upon 2, where n is the number of terms, times 2a, where a is the first term, plus n minus 1 times d, where d is the common difference. We have another formula for sum of n terms also, and that is S of n is equal to n by 2, where n again is the number of terms, times a plus l, where a is the first term and l is the last term, in case that is given to you. And in this particular question, since the last term is not given, so obviously we are going to use the first formula. Let's pick up the first formula and plug in the values right here. And since we have to find the sum of 11 terms, we can write S of 11. So that is going to be n, which is the number of terms, which is 11. Divide that by 2 times 2a, so 2 times 1 by 15, because that is the first term, plus n minus 1, and since n is 11, so it becomes 11 minus 1 times the common difference, which happens to be 1 by 60. In the next line, we'll just simplify that. So 11 by 2 remains the same. Inside 2 into 1 by 15 becomes 2 by 15. 11 minus 1 is 10. 10 times 1 is 10. So it becomes 10 by 60. And straight away I can cancel the zeros. I'll start by simplifying the parentheses now. So we have got 11 by 2. And the LCM of 15 and 6 happens to be 30. 15 times 2 is 30, so 2 times 2 will be 4, and since 6 times 5 is 30, so 1 times 5 will be 5. So that gives us 11 by 2 times 9 by 30. Now 9 and 30 both are divisible by 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 10 is 30. And then simplifying that further, 11 times 3 becomes 33, and 2 times 10 becomes 20. So the answer is going to be 33 by 20. The sum of 11 terms of this AP is 33 by 20. Let's move on to the second question now. So second question is we have to find the sum of this AP, where the AP is 5 plus negative 41 plus 9 plus negative 39 plus 13 plus negative 37, and it keeps going on and on and on up to 81 plus negative 3. So once again, pause the video, calculate the answer, and write the answer in the comment section, and then come back and play the video. So straight away from here we can find out that A, our first term, is 5. The common difference is going to be the second term minus the first term. So second term is negative 41. We subtract from it the first term, which is 5, so that gives us negative 46. But it is going to be the same as the third term minus the second term. So the third term is 9. From that we subtract negative 41. So minus and minus becomes plus. So 9 plus 41, that gives us 50. And it should be the same as the fourth term minus the third term. The fourth term is negative 39. From that we subtract the previous term, which is 9. So that gives us negative 48. But hey, the common difference is coming out to be different each time, which means that this is not an AP. So this is not going to work, isn't it? Okay, so let's get rid of this and try it another way. Now, if we look at it carefully, it actually seems to be a combination of two APs, because if we look at every alternate term, you see that it is 5, 9, 13, and we can see that the common difference is the same in those cases, as the number is increasing by 4 every time. And the second AP is going to be negative 41, negative 39, negative 37. And again, because these are negative numbers, so the numbers are increasing by 2 every time. So as we go to the next number, we just add 2 to the previous number. So this happens to be our first AP. We can write that as AP1. And this happens to be the second AP, AP2. So now we can do it two different ways. So one way is that you take the first AP, find the sum of n terms of that AP, take the second AP, find the sum of n terms of that AP, and then combine the two together or add them together to find the sum of n terms of this particular series that we have. Or the other way is we can just combine these terms together, the first term with the first term of the second AP, the second term of the first AP with the second term of the second AP, combine them together and make one single AP. So 5 plus negative 41 gives us negative 36. 9 plus negative 39 gives us negative 30. 13 plus negative 37 gives us negative 24, and so on. And then the last term, 81 plus negative 3 gives us 78. So we have got this new AP now, which is negative 36, negative 30, negative 24, and it keeps going on up to 78. We have to find the sum of this AP. So from this AP, let's find out what A and D is. A is the first term, which we know. In this case, it is negative 36. D is the common difference, which again can be found out by taking any term, subtract from it the preceding term, and we get the common difference. So in this case, let's take the second term, negative 30, subtract from this negative 36. So minus 30 minus 36. So that becomes minus 30 plus 36, which gives us 6. So to check whether this is correct or not, whether we have a single AP or not, we can take the third term also, subtract from it the second term. So minus 24 minus of minus 30 becomes plus 30, and that gives us 6 again. So yes, we are getting a common difference of 6. So this is a single AP. Then since we have to find the sum of n terms of this AP, let's start by writing out the formula for the sum of n terms. Again, the last term is known here, so we can take the other formula. S of n is equal to n by 2 times a plus l, where a is the first term and l is the last term. But what we don't have in this formula is how many terms are there. So to find out how many terms are there, we will need to find out using the formula for the nth term, which happens to be T of n, where T of n happens to be the nth term, is going to be a plus n minus 1 times d. Let's plug in the values here. So we know the nth term in this case is going to be 78, because that is the last term, and that should be equal to the first term a, which is negative 36, plus n we don't know, so we can write that as n minus 1 times the common difference, which in this case happens to be 6. Now since n, which is the unknown, is on the right hand side, let me start by writing the right hand side first. So I'll take negative 36 to the other side. So in this case we'll be just left with 6 times n minus 1 that should be equal to 78, and when the negative 36 goes to the other side, that becomes plus 36. We can then take the 6 to the other side, so 78 plus 36 gives us 114, and that can be divided by 6, which gives us 19. And then we can take this negative 1 also to the other side, so n will be equal to 19 plus 1, which is equal to 20. So now we know that 78 is nothing but the 20th term of this AP. And now, since we know everything that is there in this formula for the sum of n terms, we can just plug in the values. So S of 20, because there are 20 terms, is going to be 20 upon 2 times the first term, which is negative 36, plus the last term, which is 78. So 20 upon 2 becomes 10, and negative 36 plus 78 becomes 42. So 10 times 42 becomes 420. So the sum of this big series that we have, which is 5 plus negative 41 plus 9 plus negative 39 and so on up to 81 plus negative 3, it is nothing but 420. Let's move on to the third question now. So the third question is that the sum of the first n terms of an AP is 3n squared plus 6n. And we have to find the nth term of this AP and also the 15th term of this AP. So again, pause the video, solve the question, write the answer in the comment box, and then play the video. Right, so let's first start by writing out what is given to us. So we know that the sum of n terms S of n is equal to 3n squared plus 6n. So using this formula, we can find the sum of one term, the first term only, and since we are finding the sum of only the first term or only one term, the value of n will become 1. So let us put in the value. So 3 times 1 square plus 6 times 1. So 1 squared is 1 and 3 times 1 is 3 plus 6 times 1 is 6. So we get the sum of the first term as 9, and because there's only one term in it, it is only the sum of the first term. It is nothing but the first term, so first term is also a, so a happens to be 9. Then using this formula, we can find the sum of two terms, and because we are finding out the sum of two terms, n will take the value of 2, so it becomes 3 times 2 squared plus 6 times 2. 2 square is 4, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 6 times 2 is 12 again, so that gives us 24. Once we have the sum of one term and sum of two terms, we can subtract these to find the second term. So the second term, T2, is going to be the sum of two terms minus the sum of one term, because sum of two terms minus, if you take away the first term, you are left with only the second term, right? So in this case, that happens to be 24 minus 9, which gives us 15. And once we have the first term and the second term, we can then find out the common difference. Common difference is again T2 minus T1, or the second term minus the first term. In this case, it is going to be 15 minus 9, and it gives a common difference of 6. And now, since the question says that since we have to find the nth term of this sequence, so we can just write the formula for the nth term, which is Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. Let's plug in the values. A in this case we know is 9 plus n minus 1. N we don't know, so let it remain as n minus 1, and d is the common difference, which is 6. Let's open the bracket, so we get 9 plus 6 times n becomes 6n, and 6 times negative 1 becomes minus 6. Let's simplify it, and we get 6n plus 3. So the nth term of this AP will be given by the formula 6n plus 3. And since we also have to find the 15th term of this sequence, we can start by liking the video. Oh, sorry for the bad joke, but I thought let me just remind you to like the video, because in case you are liking it, it would really help me a lot. If you like the video, click on the thumbs up button. Thank you. So again, since we had to find the 15th term, so Tn, or T of 15, T15, where n is going to take the value of 15, will be 6 times 15 plus 3, because the formula was 6n plus 3. So 6 times 15 becomes 90, and plus 3. So the 15th term of this sequence is going to be 93. Okay, so the next question is, how many terms of the AP 21, 18, 15 and so on must be added together to get the sum equal to 0? So we know that the AP is 21, 18, 15 and it keeps going like that. So from this AP, it is very clear that the first term A will be equal to 21, which is the first term. The common difference D can again be found out by taking any term and subtracting from it the preceding term. So whether we take it as 18 minus 21 or 15 minus 18, it's going to be the same thing. And we see that the common difference D is equal to minus 3. Okay, so once again, pause your video, solve your question, put in the answer in the comment box, and then play the video again. Now the question says how many terms must be added together to get the sum equal to 0. So the formula for the sum of n terms is S of n equals to n upon 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Now we know that the sum of n terms in this AP is equal to 0 because that is given in the question. So we'll put that here. We'll plug in the other values too. N we don't know yet, so we will have to take n as n only. So that gives us n upon 2 and times 2a. Since a is equal to 21, so it becomes 2 times 21 plus n again we don't know, so we leave it like n minus 1 times the common difference, which is negative 3. So I'll just flip both the sides here because the unknown is on the RHS. So I take 0 to the RHS and bring everything else to the LHS. And now since this n upon 2 is outside the bracket, so I can take 2 to the other side. It gets multiplied by 0 to get 0. So here we are left with n into 2 times 21 gives us 42 plus, and I'll multiply the negative 3 also. So negative 3 times n gives us negative 3n, and negative 3 times negative 1 gives us positive 3, and that should be equal to 0. So multiplying this n inside the bracket, so 42 plus 3 gives us 45, so it becomes 45n minus 3n square. That should be equal to 0. Now we can see that we can factorize out 3n from here, but because we have got negative 3n square, so I'll factorize out negative 3n. So inside the brackets, then I will be left with n minus 15, and that should be equal to 0. Again, the negative 3 can go to the other side, that becomes 0. So I'm left with n times n minus 15 is equal to 0. Now since the product of two numbers is equal to 0, that means either one of those numbers is equal to 0. So we can say either n is equal to 0 or n minus 15 is equal to 0, which gives us the values for n as 0 or 15. But we also realize that n cannot be 0 because n is the number of terms in the arithmetic sequence, and we can see that 21, 18, 15, as the sequence is going, it cannot be 0. So therefore we'll have to consider the value of n as 15, which means that 15 terms must be added together to get the sum of this AP as 0. Okay, so the next question is that in an AP, the first and the last terms are 5 and 45 respectively, and if the sum of all terms of the AP is equal to 400, then we have to find the common difference and the number of terms. So again, pause the video, solve the question, put your answer in the comment box below, and play the video again. I'll be right back with you. So according to the question, we can see that the first term A is equal to 5, and L, which is the last term, can be denoted by the letter L, is equal to 45. Now since the last term is given to us, so we can use the formula for sum of n terms as S of n is equal to n upon 2 times A plus L. And because we know that the sum of all terms is equal to 400, we can just put in the values. So 400 is equal to n we don't know as yet, so n upon 2 times 5 plus 45, because A is 5 and L is 45. So this 2 can be taken to the other side, and then I'll again write the RHS first. So I'll be left with n times 50, which gives us 50n. That should be equal to 400 times 2, which is equal to 800. We take 50 to the other side, so n will be equal to 800 divided by 50. The zeros can get cancelled and we are left with 80 divided by 5, which gives us the value of n as 16. So we know that the number of terms in this AP is equal to 16. Now we also had to find the common difference. The common difference can be found out by using the formula for the nth term. So we have got Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 times D, and because the number of terms is equal to 16, I can write it as a plus 15d. A, the first term, is equal to 5. So 5 plus 15d should be equal to 45 because that is the 16th term. I take 5 to the other side, so I'm left with 15d is equal to 45 minus 5, which gives us 40. Then to find out the value of d, I have to take 15 to the other side, so we get 40 divided by 15. And since both can be divided by 5, I can reduce this to 8 on top and 3 at the bottom. So we have got the common difference as 8 over 3. Okay, so before we go any further, I just wanted to have a small word with you, small talk, frank heart-to-heart talk. So what I'm trying to do here is to solve questions for you so that you get some practice on how to solve different types of questions. And there's a lot of content that I have on this channel, a similar type of content with lots of proofs on how things work, why things work, and how to solve questions. Lots of things regarding that. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, I would strongly suggest that you click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, do not forget to click on the notification bell so that all future videos are delivered right into your inbox. And do not forget to like the video, also give a thumbs up. Please, it will really help me a lot. Okay, for the next question, we have got that the sum of the first 7 terms of an AP is 182. And if the 4th and the 17th term of the AP are in the ratio 1:5, we have to find the AP. So again, the process remains the same. Pause the video, solve the question, put your answer in the comment box and play the video right again. Okay, so now since we have to find the sum of the first 7 terms, so let's start by writing the formula for the sum of n terms, where S of n is equal to n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. We know that the sum of the first 7 terms is 182, which means n should be equal to 7 and S of n should be equal to 182. So we get 182 is equal to 7 over 2 times 2a. The first term is not known yet, so we'll write it as 2a only, and n minus 1. So since n is equal to 7, so 7 minus 1 becomes 6, so it becomes 6d. So we get 182 on the left side, and on the right side I can multiply this 7 by 2 to the terms inside. So 7 by 2 times 2a, the 2 gets cancelled, so it becomes 7a. Now this 7 upon 2 has to be multiplied by 6d also. So 2 and 6 can be cancelled to get 3, and 7 times 3 is 21. So we get 21d. Again, writing the RHS as the LHS now, so we can factorize out the 7. So inside the brackets we are left with a plus 3d, that should be equal to 182. We can take 7 to the other side, so we are left with a plus 3d on the left hand side, and on the right side it is 182 divided by 7. And when we simplify this, we get a plus 3d is equal to 7 times 2 is 14 and 4 and 2 42, so 26. Let me call this as equation number 1. Now moving to the second part of the question, we were also given that the ratio of the 4th and 17th terms was 1:5. So we know the 4th term can be written as a plus 3d upon the 17th term, which can be written as a plus 16d, should be equal to 1 over 5. Now according to equation number 1, we have already got that a plus 3d is equal to 26. So we can put in that value over here. So we get 26 upon a plus 16d is equal to 1 over 5. We can then cross multiply. So this a plus 16d goes to the other side, gets multiplied by 1, and we are left with a plus 16d. This 5 goes and multiplies itself to 26. So 26 times 5 is 130. Let me call that as equation number 2. Now from this equation number 2, we can subtract equation number 1. So let me write the equation number 1 also over here. So that's a plus 3d is equal to 26. And because we are subtracting this, all terms becomes negative. So a and a gets cancelled. 16d minus 3d gives us 13d. And 130 minus 26 gives us 104. So this 13 can then be taken to the other side. So we get d is equal to 104 divided by 13, which gives us a common difference of 8. Now to find the value of a, we can just substitute this value of d in any of the equations. So let me put it in equation number 1. So we have got a plus 3d, which is 3 times 8, should be equal to 26. which means a plus 24 is equal to 26. 24 can then be taken to the other side, so that leaves us with a is equal to 2. And since we have to find the AP, so the first term a should be 2, then we have to add the common difference to 2, so we get 2 plus 8 is equal to 10. The next term can again be got by adding 8 to 10, so 10 plus 8 gives us 18. Then again add 8 to get 26, and so on. Okay, so the next question is, in an AP, S5 plus S7 is given as 167 and S10 is equal to 235, and we have to find the AP where S of n denotes the sum of n terms. So again, the process remains the same. Pause the video, solve the question, put your answer in the comment box, and play the video again. So since we are talking about the sum of n terms, let's start by writing out the formula for that, which gives us S of n is equal to n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. And since we have been given S5 plus S7 is equal to 167, let's first write down what S5 would be equal to. So S5 would be equal to, here n will take the value of 5, so we get 5 over 2 times 2a plus 5 minus 1 gives us 4, so 4d. And then let's write what S7 is equal to. So S7 would be 7 over 2, because here n is equal to 7, times 2a plus 7 minus 1 gives us 6, so 6d. And S of 10 would then be equal to 10 over 2 times 2a plus 10 minus 1 is 9, so 9d. And that has been given to us as 235, and we have also been given that S5 plus S7, these two together should be equal to 167. Now we can proceed by simplifying these terms first. So let me multiply 5 over 2 inside the brackets. So 5 over 2 times 2a, the 2 gets cancelled, so we are left with 5a, and 5 over 2 times 4d, so 2 times 2 is 4, so 5 times 2 will give us 10d. And since the sum of S5 and S7 is equal to 167, let me add the S7 also to this. So when we simplify that, 7 over 2 times 2a, again the 2's get cancelled, we are left with 7a, and 7 over 2 plus 6d, so 2 times 3 is 6, so 7 times 3 is 21, so 21d. The sum of these two together is 167. Simplifying this further, when we add the a's together, 5a plus 7a gives us 12a, and 10d plus 21d gives us 31d. That should be equal to 167. For the second equation, we can see that 235 is divisible by 5, so we can take 5 to the other side. So here we'll be left with 2a plus 9d should be equal to 235 divided by 5, which gives us 47. Now we'll try and solve these equations by the elimination method. So we can multiply the second equation by 6, and when we do that, so 6 times 2a becomes 12a plus 6 times 9d becomes 54d. That should be equal to 47 times 6, which gives us 282. The first equation can be written as it is, which is 12a plus 31d is equal to 167. Now we can subtract this equation from the top one, so 12a and 12a gets eliminated. 54d minus 31d gives us 23d, and 282 minus 167 gives us 115. This 23 can then be taken to the other side, so we are left with d is equal to 115 over 23, which gives us 5. So we can find the value of a by putting in this value of d into any of the two equations above. Let me put it in the second equation, where 2a plus 9d is equal to 47. So 2a plus 9 times d is 5 now, so 9 times 5 should be equal to 47. 9 times 5 is 45, that can be taken to the other side, so we are left with 2a is equal to 47 minus 45, which gives us 2, and then taking 2 to the other side also, we get a is equal to 1. And since we had to find the AP, so the first term a is equal to 1, the common difference is 5, so when we add 5 to 1 we get 6, add 5 to 6 again we get 11, add 5 to that again we get 16, and so on. And the next question given to us is that the sum of n terms of two APs are in the ratio 3n plus 8 is to 7n plus 15, and we have to find the ratio of their 12th terms. So again, pause the video, solve the question, put your answers in the comment section, and here we go. Now since we are talking about the sum of n terms again, let's start by writing the formula. S of n would then be equal to n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Now in the question it has been given to us that there are two different APs. So obviously we'll have the first term of the first AP, which let's take it as a1. We'll have a common difference also, let's name that as d1. And similarly for the second AP, we'll have a2 as the first term and d2 as the common difference of the second AP. And then since we have been given the ratio, so let's find out the ratio now. Now since it says that it's the ratio of the sum of first n terms, so we'll have to write the formula for n terms only. So it will be n over 2 times 2a1 plus n minus 1 times d over n over 2 times 2a2 plus, and here it should be d1, so plus n minus 1 times d2. The ratio of these two terms is given to us as 3n plus 8 over 7n plus 15. We can see here that n over 2 and n over 2 they can get cancelled. Now since we have to find the ratio of their 12th terms, let's write that also what needs to be found out. So the 12th term of the first AP would then be a1 plus 12 minus 1 gives us 11. So 11d1 over a2 plus 11d2. That's what is needed to be found out. Okay, now we come to the slightly tricky part. So this you have to understand closely. Now if you look at this part over here, we see that the ratio that had been given to us was given as 2a plus n minus 1 times d, and here we have got only a plus n minus 1 times d. So to make it 2a, or to get it in the same form as what is given to us, we can multiply both the numerator and denominator together by 2. So when we do that, we get 2a1 plus 11 times 2 is 22, so 22d1 over 2a2 plus 22d2. Now once again let's start by writing out what has been given to us. So 2a1 plus n minus 1 times d1 over 2a2 plus n minus 1 times d2, that is given to us as 3n plus 8 over 7n plus 15. And what is needed to be found out is 2a1 plus 22d, which means here n minus 1 should be equal to 22. Now if we take n minus 1 equals to 22, one can then go to the other side, so that gives us a value of n as 23. So why not substitute this value of n into this equation and see what we get. So we get 2a1 plus 23 minus 1 gives us 22, so 22d1 over 2a2 plus 23 minus 1 gives us 22, so 22d2 should be equal to, now n is equal to 23, so 3 times 23 plus 8 over 7 times 23 plus 15. Now you see on the LHS we have already got what we needed to find out, which was the ratio of the first 12 terms of both the APs. So we just need to simplify the right side. So 3 times 23 gives us 69 plus 8, and 7 times 23 gives us 161 plus 15. When we simplify that together, so 69 plus 8 gives us 77, and 161 plus 15 gives us 176. So we can see that both these numbers are divisible by 11. So when we divide by 11, we get 7 here, and this becomes 16. So obviously the ratio of the 12th terms is going to be 7 over 16, or 7 is to 16. And for the last question for the video, I've taken a word problem as well, so please pay attention to it on how to interpret word problem. Again, the most important thing which my teacher told me, as I told you in the beginning also, is to understand English, what is given to you in the question. So understand that English, put it into a mathematical language, and solve the question by just putting in the values into a formula that we have. So let's read the question. So the question says that a man arranges to pay off a debt of rupees 36,000 in 40 monthly installments, which are in the form of an arithmetic series. And when 30 of the installments have already been paid, the man dies and he leaves one third of the debt still unpaid. And what we need to find out is the value of the first installment. Again, pause the video, solve the question, put your answer in the comment section and get back here. Now here it is given that he is arranging to pay off a debt of 36,000 rupees in 40 monthly installments. That means the sum of those 40 installments is going to be 36,000, which means S40 is equal to 36,000. And then we have been given that one third of the debt is unpaid when he dies. So let's find what one third of the debt is. So that's going to be 1 by 3 times 36,000, which gives us 12,000. So 12,000 is yet to be paid. Therefore, we can find out the debt that has already been paid. So that will be 36,000 minus 12,000, which gives us 24,000. And since this 24,000 has been paid in 30 monthly installments, that means the sum of 30 installments is equal to 24,000. And now what we need to find out is the value of the first installment, which means what is needed to be found out is the value of A. So again, because we are talking about sum of n terms, let's start by writing the formula, the one thing that we need to solve the question, which is the formula. So S of n would be equal to n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Since S40 and S30 has been given to us, we can substitute these two values of n into the formula and get two equations, and then we can solve it out. So S of 40 would be 40 over 2 times 2a plus 40 minus 1 gives us 39. So 39d, that has been given to us as 36,000. The 40 and 2 can be cancelled here, so 2 times 20 is 40. I can take this 20 to the other side, so I'll be left with 2a plus 39d over here, and 36,000 divided by 20 gives me 1,800. Let's come to S30 now. So S30 should be equal to 30 over 2 because here n is equal to 30. So 30 over 2 times 2a plus 30 minus 1 is 29, so 29d, and that we know is equal to 24,000. The 30 and 2 can again be cancelled to get 15. I can take this 15 to the other side now, so I'll be left with 2a plus 29d should be equal to 24,000 divided by 15, which will be equal to 1,600. Let me call this as equation number 1 and let me call this as equation number 2. Now when we subtract equation number 2 from equation number 1, so we can write 1 minus 2, we see that 2a minus 2a gets cancelled, and here we'll be left with 39d minus 29d. On the right hand side we get 1,800 minus 1,600. Simplifying that, we get 10d is equal to 200, and taking 10 to the other side we get d is equal to 200 over 10, which is 20. Now the value of a can then be found out by putting this value of d into any of the equations. Let me put it in the second equation because here the numbers are smaller. So we get 2a plus 29 times 20, because d is equal to 20 now, should be equal to 1,600. I can take 29 times 20 to the other side, so we are left with 2a equal to here, and on the other side we'll get 1,600 minus 29 times 20 should be equal to 580, which means that 2a is equal to 1020, and therefore a will be equal to the half of that. Dividing by 2, we get 510. And a is what needed to be found out, since that's the value of the first installment. So therefore a is equal to 510, or the first installment that he paid was 510. and then every month he increased it by 20 rupees, so it became 530, 550, and so on. Now that's a lot of questions, isn't it? But I hope that this has given you good practice. It's a long video, and if you're stuck onto this video up to right here, I really thank you and appreciate you for the effort that you've put in. So we've already done a lot of questions on the sum of n terms, but if you don't know how to derive the formula of the sum of n terms, you should watch this video over here. Do not also forget to click on my picture over here to subscribe yourself to the channel to get access to all the new videos that we put in here, and also watch this video recommended by YouTube. And as far as questions on sum of n terms is concerned, I think you have nailed it. Take care. God bless.